You're now listening to Free the Tongue podcast, brought to you by English Language Development Services, the podcast for non-standard, non-native English speakers in multicultural and international workplaces. I'm your host, T. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to Free the Tongue, the podcast where we talk about real life stuff, anything and everything, and we don't hold back, okay? We give it our all. We are freeing that tongue. This is episode 3, and we are going to be talking about hubris and professionalism. So I'm going to start off by defining hubris. Hubris is a Greek word that has been adapted into the English language. If you don't know, English is a mixture between Greek, French, Anglo-Saxon, and Monkism. So, hubris means to have excessive pride and confidence. Now, in religious societies, which most societies are religious societies, I don't think there's any country where atheism is the predominant spirituality for most people. I know some of you guys are probably hearing that and thinking to yourself, atheism is not a spirituality. Well, we can debate that. But that's not really the conversation right now. The conversation is about hubris and professionalism. So, how does that connect? Well, if you have any sort of spirituality, religious background, anything like that, then you know that excessive pride and excessive confidence are extremely looked down upon. Very much so, because we're supposed to give all the glory to God, right? It all goes to Him. So when we internalize that within ourselves, bad things happen to us. Or at least that's what we're taught when we are religious. So let's hone in. I don't have to talk about everyone in the world. I can talk about what's happening in America, and I can talk about the American culture. It is predominantly a Christian culture, though this is a very diverse country where we have religions from all over. That does not take away from the fact that it is a predominantly Christian culture. And with that being as it is, as a whole, as a culture, having this sort of excessive pride and confidence can come off to some people as narcissism. Oh, that's a big buzzword these days. Narcissist. Everybody, he's a narcissist and she's a narcissist. Oh, they didn't make me feel good. Narcissist. Okay, I hope you guys are getting the point that I think we overdo the narcissist thing. Way overdo it. And I think the reason that happens is because people don't like to take personal responsibility for the part that they play in being, quote unquote, bamboozled. Now, that's not to say that narcissism is not a real thing. I do believe that narcissism is a thing. I think that most of us have some level of narcissism within us. I think some people may have it more than others. However, whether we fall victim or prey of narcissism will really depend on our self-confidence. And so that's why I do the work that I do, because I understand how crucial confidence actually is. But when you're in a culture, as I mentioned before, where excessive pride and confidence are considered bad things and narcissism is the buzzword of the day, it creates a dangerous mixture where people are downright terrified terrified to have confidence within themselves. And so that allows abuse to run rampant, okay? Because ultimately you have to understand that when you lack this confidence in your speaking abilities, when you're afraid to say something at work, for example, maybe you're experiencing racism, classism, native speakerism in some form or so, we tend to be quiet about it. We tend to not speak up. And that's extremely harmful to our careers. As Zora Neale Hurst once said, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. And that's something that I strongly believe in and agree with, because that's something that I have experienced throughout my life and career. And it's what has allowed me to come to this place now where I'm even making this podcast, Free the Tongue. No, this is so we can scream and shout and we can say, I am being hurt. My feelings are valid. My reality is valid. And if I am feeling some sort of pain and I am trying to communicate that to you, then I need your listening skills, regardless of what language we're speaking and how we speak these languages, to hear me, regardless of the dialect of English I'm speaking. And it's actually not that hard to hear someone when you are aware of where your culture ends and another's begins, and you are tolerant and respectful of that, okay? So in the workplace, what ends up happening, and I can provide you with countless examples of this, is that those who are marginalized along the lines of their identity, culture, language, okay, those are all the same things, but whatever word you need to hear to connect with it, they tend to become silent because, and they don't talk about their successes, and they don't talk about the things they've accomplished because they don't want to come off as hubris, God forbid, and have people hate them. Okay, now see, do you understand why I had to connect the whole cultural bit? If you don't understand the culture, then you might think, oh, well, I can just do this. You got to understand this stuff in order to not have that false confidence. You can easily fall into false confidence if you do not have a real understanding and background knowledge and practice. And if you really want to know more about that, go to my website and fill out the survey I have for the Elevate Your English Master Course. If you are a native English speaker, don't be afraid to take the questionnaire that I have, because there are a lot of things in there that you will learn as well, and you might not identify yourself as a person who is struggling with their English skills, but that's just, again, framing. That's just a way to say it. But you know, if you are a non-standard English speaker, oftentimes in professional environments, lots of non-standard English speakers, even though they're native English speakers, are made to feel that what they're saying doesn't make sense. How they phrased it is inaccurate. Their accent is incorrect. It's not good. It's unprofessional. Or their grammar is something to be ashamed of. So go check it out. Fill out the questionnaire, and I'll send you to my free Elevate Your English webinar. And that's where I go into more detail about the 5 things that are holding you back from speaking confidently and fluently. So let's talk about the traits of successful people, okay? So the traits of the successful people include patience, discipline, drive, and above all things, confidence. However, confidence isn't always perceived to be as such. And that goes into communication skills. Sometimes confidence is perceived as arrogance. Sometimes it's perceived as conceit. Sometimes it's perceived as pride. Or, as our word for today, sometimes confidence, real confidence, is perceived as hubris. And it's very important to understand the difference between real confidence and fake confidence, so that when people accuse you of this hubris, this excessive confidence, this excessive pride, because really when they accuse you of hubris, they're saying you should not be confident. You're too confident. You shouldn't be. Or they're really saying, oh, you didn't, what did you do? You're not deserving of this. Now remember, that's a cornerstone of success. Confidence is a cornerstone of success. And when you think of it, you know it's true that not everyone, this idea of who has hubris and who doesn't, is not equally applied to everyone in society. Because how many times do we see these CEOs of big companies, like, for example, WeWorks, who that was an amazing story. He valued his company to be $100 billion privately, and then goes publicly, and his company is only worth less than $1 billion. I think maybe it fell down to $1 billion. I'm not sure. I can't remember specifically, but you can go check all of this out. And actually, there's a very good documentary about it on Hulu, if you have Hulu. So go definitely check that out. And you'll see a story of a man where after he lost his company or whatever, but get this, he loses his company, but he walks away with $750 million. That doesn't sound like failure to me. That doesn't sound like failure at all to me. And as an end result, okay, they make this documentary and they say hubris, he had hubris, blah, 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 whatever. But on the journey to the top, no one accused him of having hubris. And that is what allowed him, his confidence in himself is what allowed him to go as far as he did. And when you start looking at these tech giants and CEOs, because, oh my goodness, this story has been replicated over and over and over in the past decade, okay? And probably longer, but as long as I have been aware, this past decade, you see it with Mark Zuckerberg, you see it with, pretty much all of these, the Twitter guys. You see it with Instagram guys. You see these things, Amazon, all these companies. Now, these are companies that ended up being successful. Now, there's also on the other side, for everyone you see successful, there's the one that pushed up their profits and said, we are so worth so much. And then it comes to the public launch and they're not worth merely what they said they were. But this is common. This is actually common. But when you peer closely to this, you'll see that these guys are never questioned. They are never seen to be arrogant. They're never seen to be conceited or prideful. They are taken as pure geniuses. And that confidence in their genius allows them to soar to great heights despite what people may say after. Because the people who have something to say about them, I bet they don't have $750 million. Not even close. Not even close. But not everyone is given that space to believe in their genius to the point where they can get to that success. In fact, I'd argue, and I do argue, and this is why you need to get my workbook, The Guide to Speaking English Confidently and Fluently to Advance Your Career. And this is why you need to schedule that VIP day with me so we can sit down and strategize the next moves for you to do what you need to do to get to that next level. Because you have to understand the cultural environment that you are in. Because if you are trying to, especially when you are not the standard, okay, you are not from the standard identity. Maybe you have some pieces of it in some areas and maybe you don't in other areas. But when you don't have the standard identity, you will definitely be accused of things such as hubris. Because people don't think that you are capable. They just don't believe in you. They don't believe in you. They don't want to believe in you. They don't think you should have it because of who you are. Just because of who you are, the way you speak, your native language, things of that matter. And if you really want to get more deeply into that, again, I'm saying check out my book, and I really lay all that out with my framework and everything, and I really just let you know what that all has to do with, like, why this is happening. So you might be asking yourself, why is it important for me to be able to stand strong against people who may accuse me of having hubris? Well, do you want to get your dream job? Do you want to get paid fairly for the skills that you bring to your job? Do you want to get paid for the time that you can commit? Then you're going to have the confidence to speak up and advocate for yourself. And if you're not confident, then you can't speak up for yourself. You're not going to be able to shout from the rooftops what you have accomplished, what you have done. You're going to be hiding. You're going to be accomplishing amazing feats. And because of your culture and because of what society has told you, and I'm telling you guys, if you're not from America and you're listening to this and you would like to immigrate and work in America, or you have immigrated to America and you're listening to this, or maybe you are American but you just never consciously thought of this, you have to be aware of these things. You have to be aware that, oh wow, there's a cultural thing here that influences me not to speak up about my accomplishments, because I don't want people to feel jealous of me. I don't want people to hate me and not want to be my friends because they think I'm trying to be all that. I don't want to isolate myself from people. First of all, that's not your friend. Let me just say that. I'm just going to give you this piece of advice. That's not your friend if they feel small or threatened by your success. And you do not want to have anyone around you like that, because they're going to keep you small. And that's exactly why you are probably still being stuck in positions where you're underpaid and overworked, because you believe that those people who said you can't get there, you can't do it without me liking you, without my approval. And they literally have you working like a slave, to gain access into spaces that they're more likely than not don't want you there anyways. And then if they do let you there, you're going to be the last one hired and the first one fired. I see it all the time when you are not the standard. And we know this. This is one of those things, especially Americans. Oh, we know. We whisper it at the table. We say it in our private homes. It's in the back of our consciousness, but no one ever talks about it. But here this is the place where we're going to talk about it. And we're going to be honest about it. We're going to free the tongue so we can get to that next level, so that we can advocate for our career advancement. Because we have a dream. We want to be able to pay our families' medical bills. Our parents, they're getting old and things like that and sick. We want to be able to pay their medical bills and help them out. We want to be able to see the world and travel. You shouldn't feel guilty or bad because you have a desire to do something that the same people who will judge you for wanting to do it is out doing it themselves. Okay? You are deserving. You are good enough. And if you don't feel that, if you don't know that, that is a problem. And that's why I am doing the work that I am doing today, because I know that I used to be just like you and I'm still like you. It's something with this confidence stuff. You got to fight it every day. When you live in a society, in a whole world of a competing narcissist, okay? Because so many people, everyone loves to say narcissist, you're a narcissist, you're not. Okay, you're a narcissist too. Everybody's a narcissist, okay? I just really hate how medical terms are loosely thrown around everywhere, and then they're taken out of context and used to further harm people. And again, just like hubris is going to be more quickly used to describe some people versus others, narcissists, the same thing happens, okay? At the end of the day, everyone has something within them that's going to look out for their best interest. That does not make you a narcissist for looking out for your best interest. And if you do not do that, narcissists will take advantage of that. And the best way to defend yourself against that is to have real confidence. To defend yourself against claims of hubris that would silence you from advocating for yourself and letting your employer know what you have done and what you're capable of, and your colleagues know it as well, so that they aren't whispering to each other. Because let me just tell you, racism exists, classism exists, standard speakerism exists, native speakerism, which is standard speakerism, but those of you abroad who may not be familiar with the term standard speakerism, which is the encompassing term, because native speakerism is only a little part of that. Standard speakerism touches on everybody. Okay, these are real things, and you can't stop what other people feel. You can't do anything about what these people think and how they perceive you. But what you can do is protect yourself and stand up against it, so that it doesn't keep you overworked, underpaid, first one fired, last one hired. And we know that all contributes to and affects our economic security. All right. So that's all I have for you guys today. Make sure that you go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you aren't already, at it's English_language_development. And that's my Instagram. You can also go to my website. And if you go to my website at www.eldservices.com, you will find a link to all of my social medias. And it's easier to get to my social media pages there and get these little tips daily. Also, make sure while you're on my website to subscribe to my newsletter, because that's where I really package everything, and that's where you really are gonna get the full expression of this social movement here that we are doing, the Free the Tongue social media movement, and stay on top of the latest career and language confidence tips from me, T. All right, guys, you have a great day. Bye.